Welcome to A Billion Realities, where we explore all topics related to spirituality, psychology, and the power of the mind. And now your host, Jessica Gerlach.
PodcastCadet.com provides a one-on-one private consultation for anyone, whether you are just starting or already have a podcast that you want to take to the next level. They have the professionals to help you. Visit PodcastCadet.com today and use the code REALITY20 to save 20% off your entire purchase. I've personally used this service, and I can assure you, you will not be disappointed.
Welcome back to A Billion Realities, the entertainment series. Today on the show, we have a very special and talented artist from Canada joining us. Faith Walker, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you being on today and taking the time to talk to us. So where are you joining us from today?
I'm about an hour outside of Toronto, Canada.
Excellent. I used to live in Toronto for 10 years, and I think that's how somehow you and I got into contact, but I can't remember specifically.
I think so, because I did notice that you're followed by some people that I know as well. So
right,
probably the separation.
Exactly. I think Maestro was actually somehow the connector, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
Okay.
That's who I noticed. Yeah.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
Okay. That's awesome. So where did you actually grow up?
I grew up in Kitchener-Waterloo, which is where I live now. I was born in LA, but I came to Canada when I was just a baby. So I grew up here for the most part.
Oh, wow. I did not know that about you. Okay. So are you a dual citizen?
I am.
Amazing. Like my kids were born in Toronto, but I'm American, so they're dual. It's always nice to have the option, right?
Exactly. Doesn't mean much during COVID, but
true that. How long have you been involved in music?
A long time, as long as I can remember. I started recording and writing my own material when I was 14, so it's been well over 20 years.
Wow, amazing. And who were some of your earliest influences?
I would say a lot of Motown artists. I loved Stevie Wonder, and then later on Lauryn Hill and Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige, a lot of R&B soul artists.
You just named some of my favorites.
Oh, great. Yeah. They're definitely talented people to look up to.
I actually saw a few of your clips on YouTube, and I saw you were doing Aretha Franklin and Mary J. Blige, and I was just like, oh, she's amazing. You have such a beautiful voice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true. So I'm always so curious to ask people what their first time on stage was like, because I know sometimes it's a process of getting used to, and even though it's a long time ago for you, what was the first time like for you?
Wow. I'm trying to remember, actually. I think the first time was, I started out in a group, so there's 3 of us, and yeah, it was it was a new experience for sure. I think it was a lesson about, making sure that you're able to do sound check before you go on. We had a little bit technical difficulties, and just, we're trying to get comfortable being on stage. okay, should we sit? Should we stand? What do we do? But yeah, it was definitely, well received. So that was good. And, it's been a learning process. That's probably the one thing that I don't know if it came completely natural to me. Like singing, songwriting, recording, like was very, it came very natural to me, but actually performing, it took a lot of time to become comfortable.
So it was like an evolutionary process. Interesting.
For sure.
Very cool. So what is the inspiration behind a lot of your music?
Well, I think starting out, like a lot of R&B soul artists, I was writing a lot about love and relationships, the ups and downs. And I still write about that quite a bit, but just with a lot of the struggles that I've been through in life, it's kind of become my purpose to write about that as well. Just, I've had a lot of health issues, so just encouraging people to keep going and to realize that they're not alone, and we're all going through something. So it's become really important for me to write about that as well.
That's incredible, to inspire other people, yeah, especially going through health issues. And I definitely want to get deeper into that with you, because I've been kind of following your journey when it comes to that. I get the updates, so I know that you've been through a lot. Yeah.
For sure.
So do you feel that being in the music industry has helped shape your personality in some ways?
I think so. I think, it brought me out of my shell a little bit. I was very outspoken, but there's still like a shyness that I didn't really reveal. It was like fake it till you make it kind of thing. But now I feel, more confident, and it's a good feeling to know that, music heals, and to know that you can use that as a tool to help and inspire other people. I think that's, just reinforced a lot of the qualities that I want to, build and get across to people. I think that, if it wasn't for music, I would probably find another way to, encourage and inspire, but I think it's something unique that I have. So I think that brings confidence as well.
I love that. That's really beautiful. And what type of mindset do you feel is necessary to have to be in the music industry in the first place?
I think, you have to be really determined and consistent. You have to develop a little bit of a tough skin. I definitely am, I'm an emotional person. So, there's been times over the years where, certain things have happened or have not gone my way, or, certain things have, been said, comments have been made, where I feel like I didn't take it too well. But over time, it's kind of, something that you develop, and just being able to, believe in yourself when not everybody's going to believe in you and see your vision. So I think that's been important.
Really interesting. And I've heard that a lot. So it absolutely makes sense. Like you said, not everybody's always going to understand your vision, but it just takes one yes.
Yeah, exactly. Very true.
Yeah. How would you describe your overall energy and attitude in life?
I think that I tend to be really positive, and I look for, the good in everything and everyone. I think that along with just being very, very determined, definitely, I have always kind of had a drive to, keep going, even though things might be hard, just to keep going. So I think that, that's something that has kind of been part of me for as long as I can remember.
That's awesome. And speaking of your drive and ambition to just keep going, let's talk about the journey and the adversities that you faced. You've had some pretty major ones related to your health, as we were just discussing. Can you share some of that journey with us?
Definitely. I have, it's taken some time for me to really get across, the importance of being, determined and strong through a lot of adversity. I was first diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 26. So just going through that experience, I kind of felt like I wanted to share that journey. I think because I was so young, and now these days I met so many people that are even much younger than that, that have battled breast cancer. But I went through every form of treatment, from a mastectomy to chemotherapy, radiation, and then reconstructive surgeries. So I definitely paid my dues when it came to cancer, and I thought, that I was done with it. For some reason, I just had this feeling that, I'm going to get through this and be there for my kids and just, remain strong. And then this is something I'm going to look back on and say I beat this. But unfortunately, that wasn't the end of my cancer journey. So about 3 years after finishing treatment, I was having major back problems, a lot of pain, and I was actually pregnant. So the doctors kept saying that the baby was pressing on the sciatic nerve, but it was just getting like worse and worse over time. And over the course of about 3 months, it was like so debilitating that like I can remember like crawling on the floor. It was hurting so bad.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was crazy. And it's actually kind of strange that nobody really put 2 and 2 together, myself included. I think I was kind of naive and didn't realize that it could be a chronic disease, or that it, that it ever would come back, because I never even really considered that at that time for some reason. But I ended up falling, and finally, this is about my second or third trip to the emergency room, and they finally gave me an MRI, and they said, your spine is fractured. It fractured when you fell because there were tumors in my spine. So at that point, that was in 2008, and I was given a stage 4 diagnosis with metastatic breast cancer. So, a tiny microscopic cell must have traveled, from my breast to my lymph nodes to my spine. So I've been living with stage 4 cancer since 2008. And over time, it's gone from my bones to my lungs, and now to my liver as well. So I'm living with that, day to day. Some people think, oh, well, like, oh, you had cancer, and they'll say things like, oh, it came back, and I'm like, it never left, like,
Wow.
since 2008. So yeah, like I think maybe because I tend to be positive and not show that side as much. I'd be an open book as far as, like, if you ask me, I'll definitely tell my story, or I have the opportunity to share my story, I will. But, people would say, like, oh, you would never know it looking at you, kind of thing, And so I think that, over time, I've, gotten to the point where I wanted to start doing, I have a vlog on YouTube as well, just because I wanted to share that vulnerable side and some of the ups and downs that come with living with cancer.
That's incredible. I think it's so important what you're doing, and not only for yourself, but for other people struggling with it, because feeling like you're alone in it, I feel like that's probably the worst part of it as well. But, I saw in an article about you when you were first diagnosed that the doctors basically told you that you were too young to get this, and they just completely dismissed it. If they had found it earlier, would you have had a different situation, a different outcome?
I definitely think so. I think that, you know, my actual first diagnosis was a really eye-opening experience, because I realized that, you know, you really have to advocate for yourself and, you know, follow up when you feel like something's wrong. I was having some strange symptoms, like some milk coming out of my breast, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And some people don't realize that can be a sign of breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was young, so they really downplayed it and said, like, oh, no, it's probably nothing. It's probably nothing. You're young and there's no strong family history. So then they sent me for a breast ultrasound. And following that, I was calling for the results, and they're like, listen, if there's anything wrong, we'll call you. Like, don't call us, we'll call you. And I felt like, you know, I was bothering them. I didn't hear anything, so I figured that, you know, okay, I'm fine. So about 3 months after that, I found a lump, and they sent me for another breast ultrasound. And when I came for the results, the doctor was like, yeah, you know, you still have a lump, and it's doubled in size. And I was like, what do you mean still? You didn't tell me I had one in the first place, you know? So that was a real wake-up call for me, because I was like, I had this faith in, you know, the medical profession, and just this belief that, you know, the doctor will follow through, and that isn't what happened. So I often think that, you know, if I was aware, I would have been, you know, more vigilant with doing, you know, self-exams, and maybe would have found it sooner. You know, if they were doing their jobs, I would, you know, and then maybe it wouldn't have spread as far as it did. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but it happens all too often. Like, I've met so many people, men and women, that have, you know, face cancer, and especially, you know, when you are diagnosed at such a young age, it's a common thing for it to be downplayed, or for them to think that it's nothing until it is.
I've heard that many times as well, and it really is unfortunate, because a young person who catches it early has a really strong chance of, you know, a faster recovery or what have you. So it's really insane to me that the medical community would let something like that, you know, pass by without, you know, I can't believe 3 months went by that they didn't contact you after seeing that you had a mass. Like, that's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I think, you know, it's really important to do self-checks. I'm part of Team Feel It on the First. So that was started by a breast cancer survivor, and she was very young as well. And basically, we just encourage women and men, because men do get breast cancer, although it's not as common. You know, I know Beyonce's father had breast cancer, and, you know, I've met some people over the years as well. But we encourage people to do a self-exam the first of every month. And actually on Instagram, you post a picture of, you know, you feeling it on the first, and then tag 3 friends to do the same. So I've been involved with that for about a year now, and that's become really important, because I think early detection can definitely make a big difference. You know, like as soon as cancer spreads, you know, to other areas in the body, then, you know, you have stage 4 cancer, and they say, you know, once you have it, you can never get rid of it. You know, I was told that we don't know if you have a year or 20 years to live with my second diagnosis. So it was really eye-opening, and, you know, unfortunate that I didn't, you know, receive the care that I feel everybody deserves.
Absolutely. That must be so frustrating and upsetting. How do you, you know, force yourself to just keep going and keep doing your music? And, you know, how do you do it through all of this?
I don't know. I think it's just like something inside of me has just, you know, taught me to just keep going. It's like, just keep swimming, like I'm Dory. You know, my mom's a very strong woman, and, you know, raised my sister and I on her own. And so I definitely, you know, learned a lot from her, and she's, you know, very, you know, resilient and resourceful. So I've learned that. And I think that, you know, being able to share my story through music has really been motivating for me too, to keep going. You know, I know that there are people that look to me as, you know, that inspiration to keep fighting. So, you know, it's important on a personal level, but also, you know, I think just for other people as well. I think when we go through something in life, you know, it's our story, but you know, when we share our story, there's a lot of power in that, and you know, we can help so many people and affect so many people in
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, music is one of those things that deeply resonates with people. You know, when it triggers you, it can be everything. It can be everything you need to get through the day. You know, it's just very powerful and uplifting. Yeah, that's amazing. So back to your music for a second. Who have you shared the stage with that you really respect or admire?
Well, I have opened for some people over the years that you know, I definitely respect and admire. A lot of reggae artists, from Leroy Gibbons to Serrani, as well as I don't think I've ever shared the stage with Maestro, but I've, you know, collaborated with him, as well as Chuck Blair and a lot of hip hop artists out of Toronto as well. Yeah, so that's been great. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that I've actually shared the stage with that would be notable, but
yeah, no, even opening for, you know, any of that, like collab with, that's all amazing.
Yeah, also, you know, I opened for Mobb Deep, and, you know, I've shared the stage with an artist out of Toronto, Ray Robinson, that I think is crazy talented as well. So he's on the remix for Head in the Clouds. So I definitely am really proud of the work that I've done with him as well.
Incredible. I love Mobb Deep too. I got to check out the other artist that you just mentioned. That's very cool. So sure. Who are some of your greatest current influences?
I think currently there are a lot of, like, I'm still, you know, a big fan of, you know, the artists that I mentioned before, but there are a lot of new artists as well. I would have to say that's a good question. I'm trying to think of, I could probably name a big list of people, but I think that I'm going to answer you in a more general way. I'm a really big fan of artists that, you know, really show that vulnerable side and are authentic, and, you know, artists that write their own music. That's really important as well. I'm a R&B soul girl to the core, but I also, you know, admire and take inspiration from hip hop and reggae music as well. I think growing up outside of Toronto is, you know, a melting pot, so we're exposed to a lot of music. So I definitely find ways to kind of shine light on that. A big part of All the Way Live hiphop.com, we do Faithful Fridays, and so every Friday I actually interview other artists, and I also choose a lot of the music that we play on the 24-hour radio, because it's like R&B, soul, reggae music on Fridays. So that keeps things interesting, and, you know, enables me to shine a light on some of the artists that don't really get that spotlight and appreciation. Because I think right now, especially, we are, you know, when we're listening to commercial radio, there's so many talented artists, but we still just hear the same artists over and over again. You know, so there are very few artists that are really getting, you know, the notoriety and appreciation for their talent. So for me, it's become, you know, kind of a mission in that way too, just to show that there are so many other talented people out there.
Absolutely. I really love that because, like you just said, we hear the same few artists over and over again on the mainstream radio, mainstream in general. So it's nice to kind of introduce the public to some little more of the, underground or just the ones that are up and
Exactly.
coming. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So back to your journey, and just in general, how important do you feel it is to have a support system being in the music business and in life in general?
I think it's very important. I definitely have, over the years seen the importance of, building a team. And even if it's just a small team, like it's basically, me and my business manager, who's also my partner in life, he has been really key as far as, taking on some of the business related things that kind of can hinder the creativity. So, having that and a publicist as well, just, having that support and, people to kind of encourage you and keep you going and hold you accountable for, things that you're supposed to do, keep you on track. And then in life, in general, my friends and family that have been there for me through so much, having that support system has definitely been encouraging and kept me going over the years. I honestly, without that support, I don't know where I'd be. So I'm definitely lucky in that way.
I love that you acknowledge that because I know there's so many people who are like, I'm going to do this on my own. I did this all by myself. And I'm like, really? Like, I find it hard to believe just because I feel like, we all have people that we really turn to and, pull us through times or keep us on track, like you said. So I really appreciate it when an artist or anybody actually gives like that acknowledgement to their support system, So I love that you said that it is important.
Definitely important.
Yeah. So you've been in this business a long time. How would you describe your evolution as an artist?
Well, I think, being an artist for so many years, we have to kind of evolve with the times and, things have really changed. So, when I was first coming out with music, I had, songs on the radio and videos out, but it was like, you knew somebody or, either the program or music director, and you just pass them your music and it gets played. And now, there's so many artists out there and there's so much politics involved with music. Even just getting my local station where I live to play my music, they're like, well, we've got a lot of music right now, so we can't really, add yours into rotation. So it's definitely been a change that, we just kind of have to roll with. And I think that that's why some of these underground stations, the college radio stations, the independent radio stations have been really important. So just building those relationships, whether it's through my publicist or, people that I've, like we connected on Instagram, it's just really important to, embrace those people that are willing to support you and play your music or share your story. I've definitely, I think I never had any formal training as far as music. So it's been something that I've just kind of, I've made my way through it and learned a lot of things just kind of through trial and error, and, have become, stronger at, getting to know what my process is as far as writing. And I think that's definitely been key in evolution, is if we kind of find, what our strengths are, what we're comfortable with, what we need to work on. So yeah, I'm definitely constantly, trying to learn more. I'm actually taking a creative writing course right now. So, anything that can help me, any opportunity to learn, I'm definitely open to that. So I think that that's help me evolve.
That's amazing. So speaking of your creative process, what is yours like?
Well, usually for the most part, I'll get, beats from different producers. And what I'll do is I'll just listen to them, and usually very quickly I can tell like which ones I really feel, which ones that, kind of inspire me. It's just like a feeling where I just know, like, okay, I need to write to this. And then, so I'll start out with a melody. I'll find a melody that fits, and I tend to start with the verses for some reason. I guess that's how the song starts, so that I know some people start with the hook or the chorus, but I usually start with the verses, and I come up with the melody that fits. Once I have the melody, then I fit the words, and I, think about, okay, what is this? What feeling does this music give me? What do I want to say in this song? And that's when I start to fill in the words. And then once I've got the melody and the words for the first verse, then the other verses come very, very quickly, just because I kind of know the format and know what I want to say. So it can be a really quick process once I get going. So
Cool.
That's something that I think I've learned over the years to do pretty quickly. Yeah.
That's cool. It really sounds like you kind of intuitively feel your way through it. Like it has to feel right.
Definitely.
So what are some of your fans' favorite songs by you?
A lot of people remember some of my first songs that I came out with, like Hello and Steppin' Out. I did a remix for Steppin' Out with Chocolate.
I love
and a lot
Steppin'
of
Out.
people
Sorry.
kind of,
I love that song.
thank you. I know a lot of people are like, I've had people say like, oh, I used to listen to that when I was getting ready for school. And I'm like, thanks for making me feel old. But it's a nice feeling to know that people still remember those songs.
Yeah.
And then, some of my newer songs like Head in the Clouds, I know a lot of people love that song and find it inspiring. So, being able to shoot a video for that song and, have that on YouTube, I've definitely got a lot of positive feedback when it comes to Head in the Clouds. So
I love
those
that
are
one
probably
too.
songs.
Mm-hmm. What was the last thing you said? I missed it. Sorry, cut out.
Oh, I was just saying those are probably like some of the top songs that people really like.
Awesome. Very cool. I was curious because you have so much content up on YouTube, and I was like, oh, there's so much here. I wonder what the favorites are, but it's funny that you mentioned two of my favorites, so I'm not surprised.
That's good. I'm glad you like them. Yeah, I've always sang music that I write. And then, it's just been a few years since I started my Faithful Friday series, where I would just do a cover, because I never really sang covers. So, yeah, I know a lot of the stuff that I have on there was just kind of like pushing myself to do something different and, see what I can bring to those covers to kind of make them my own. And then, that led to me doing Faithful Fridays Live, where we had different artists come perform and with a live band and everything. So, I have a lot of different videos up, for different things, from like the actual music videos to, just videos of me singing in my car. Like it could be anything.
I saw that on your channel, but that's actually what I really liked about it, because it's so diverse. You have all these different vibes and different things going on at Facebook Fridays, and I really enjoyed that. That was cool. So,
thank you.
Is there anyone that you would love to collaborate with who you haven't?
Definitely. So many people. A lot of the artists that I mentioned, like if I collaborate with Stevie Wonder or Lauryn Hill, Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, some of the newer artists like PJ Morton, Brandy, who's not a new artist, but I'm open to work with anyone that I feel is really talented. I would love to work and collaborate, and so hopefully in the future I'll have a lot more opportunities to do that.
How has it been for you with the whole COVID situation? Have you found any outlets? I know you're doing the Faithful Friday, but is there anything else that you've been able to do during this situation? Because I know all the concerts and everything have been canceled.
Yeah, it's, it's unfortunate. That's the way things are right now. I haven't done any virtual performances, but I would like to do one when my album comes out next month. I'm thinking about doing like a listening party virtually, and perform a couple songs and play songs as well off the album and get people's feedback. I've taken some time to do some writing during COVID, but definitely a lot of the behind the scenes stuff like shooting videos. I have a video coming out next month that we just shot for one of my songs called Aim Easy. So that one, and then I'm shooting another couple videos within the next month or so. So definitely, trying to do what I can during COVID. Of course, always keeping in mind that I have a compromised immune system. So I have to be a little bit careful. I've had
For
like
sure.
4 COVID tests.
Oh, wow.
Which is fun. I'm just saying. I'm not saying don't get your test, but it's not a fun test.
Oh, no.
Have you heard about them? Like how they do it?
No, I have not. I have no idea.
Basically, they just get like this swab, like a Q-tip, and they stick it up your nose, but they stick it up like as far as they can go. And so the first time I got one, the nurse was like, "Oh, don't worry, it just feels like we're poking your brain." I'm like, "Oh, great."
My God.
Yeah. It's super uncomfortable. It's not painful, but it's super uncomfortable. So yeah.
Well,
Not one of my.
No, of course. Well, you do definitely have to be extra careful. Anybody with a compromised immune system just has to take every extra precaution. So I understand your feeling on that for sure.
For
So,
sure.
well, what's been the most rewarding aspect of your career? Oh, and by the way, I do want to talk about your album that's coming out if you're allowed to release any info. But first, I want to hear what's been the most rewarding aspect of your music career.
I think the most rewarding and, my proudest musical accomplishment has been actually the video for Head in the Clouds. I really had a vision for it. I wanted to share stories, not just my story of battling cancer, but also stories of my friends and family members that had faced some type of adversity and found a blessing on the other side. So that was, I'm super proud of that video. I have people telling stories, sharing, through holding signs, sharing their story, from, everything from, being in toxic relationships to losing a child to being falsely imprisoned for murder, like some real serious trials and tribulations. And people ask me like, "Oh, where did you find these people? Did you do like casting?" And I'm like, "No, these are actually my friends, like some pretty inspiring people." So just being able to put that all together, yeah, I'm very proud just because I feel like everybody that watches that video can relate to one story or another. So I think, it's definitely something that I'm proud of just because, I think we can inspire people. And again, this same message of like, you're not alone. It's been really important.
Beautiful. That's deep. Wow. Crazy. And true stories too.
Yeah.
What have you found?
Definitely.
Yeah. What is the most difficult thing that you've dealt with in this industry?
Well, that's a good question. I think, one of the most difficult things was, at one point I was really trying to apply for a lot of grants, and a lot of the government grants, unfortunately, their criteria and how they pick who gets those grants, I don't want to say it's unfair, but a lot of times there's politics involved. So if I found it really discouraging, you know, like I think I at one point applied for like 4 or 5 grants in a row and got turned down. So I have received some grants in the past for music videos, but you know, that again, it's like you don't want to feel too discouraged by that, but it's hard not to in some way, like just to feel like, okay, I'm not good enough because they don't see my vision. So I think that's been really hard. And then it was just, I think it was, you know, I believe everything's meant to be. So I think it was just kind of like a push for me to say, okay, you know what, I'm just going to do this independently, and I'm just going to find a way to make things happen. And, you know, that maybe that wasn't the road for me to take.
What a great attitude. What a fantastic mentality towards that situation, because a lot of people will be like, oh, giving up this, you know, but you were like, nope, this must be the wrong path. Cool.
Exactly.
So I would love to talk about your album, if you can share anything with us about that and the upcoming music videos that you have coming out as well.
Definitely. Well, the album's self-titled Faith Walker. It has all the songs that my EP has on it, as well as a couple other songs that I've done. Actually, some of them are like a decade old and they were never used. So it was really nice to be able to actually use those songs. And then it also has the Head in the Clouds remix on there with Ray Robinson. So that'll be dropping next month. I don't have a date yet just because of COVID. Everything's been really pushed back quite a bit. But sometime in September, we'll be releasing my album, as well as the video for for Ain't Easy, like I mentioned before. And as far as that video, it actually tells quite a bit of my story as well. It goes a little bit deeper into my cancer journey, and we kind of recreated the situation that I went through recently. In May, I was in the hospital having a lot of health issues, and I was actually given 2 days to live. So, you know, just being told that was like crazy. Having to tell my kids and my family and friends that was, you know, I feel like I'm still processing it. You know, I took a turn. Obviously, I'm still here, and I'm doing so much better. You know, I had a pain pump. I was on oxygen 24 hours a day. But, you know, I'm feeling so much better, doing so much better now. But I thought it was important to kind of show a bit of that story in the video. And then the second half is basically mirroring a lot of what I went through in a toxic abusive relationship. So I have other people playing those parts and showing that story of, you know, having to get out of that situation. So I think it's going to be, you know, inspiring again. And I really look forward to just getting people's feedback. I just posted a little snippet of the video on my Instagram this morning. So you can check that out at Facebook.
Oh, sorry. Repeat where they can find you on Instagram.
At Faith Walker Music.
Faith Walker Music. Okay. Wow. I'm in shock about what you just told me. And I just don't, it's unbelievable just how, you know, great you sound and just your overall attitude. And I just can't imagine what you have just been through, being told you have 2 days to live, and then, you know, coming out of that. And like you said, having to tell your kids, like the amount of ups and downs that you've experienced are just unreal.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long road, and, you know, it's been tough, really tough at times. And again, I just have to keep going and try to keep a positive attitude and just remember that everything's for a reason.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, I just have a couple more questions. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
That's a good question. I think one of the things that definitely been key for me is just to, you know, believe in myself. And I don't know if I could say specifically who ever told me that, but I think that's so important, you know, especially when you're in an industry that, you know, is not always going to be on your side, you know, and you're going to get negative feedback and you're going to get people that don't see your vision. So just believing in you. And I think, you know, one thing that I've been told several times that I like to remember is just, you know, about my name. It's my actual name, Faith Walker. And I think that I've kind of, in a way, it's like that's my name for a reason. So I'm like living up to my name. I think names have a lot of importance for us. And so I think that people telling me that, oh yeah, that's your name for a reason, that's something that's definitely stuck with me.
I just got chills because I wanted to tell you this, but you know, I was probably going to tell you not on the podcast, but I'm going to because you just said this. So today I do spiritual readings also. Like I work with people like with some spiritual things. Anyway, guess who the woman I worked with today? Her name was also Faith. And I was like, I have a faith podcast today and a faith spiritual reading today. I have two faiths today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, this is a sign, and I felt like I needed to tell you, and you just said that to me about your name, and I just thought that I just got chills. Crazy.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You get signs from the universe sometimes that can't be explained.
For sure. I'm a huge, huge believer in signs and synchronicities and, you know, things happening for a reason, like you were saying earlier. So my last question to you before I ask you to tell people where they can find your music and where they can find you on social media once more, but what do you want the world to know about you?
Well, I want the world to know that I'm a fighter, that I'm a survivor, that, you know, I'd like to leave a mark in this world and, you know, I would like to know that I've been able to help people and inspire people. So I think that's what I would like people to know about me. And that, you know, I've faced a lot of adversity, been through a lot of struggles, but they really have shaped who I am and, you know, kept me going and encouraged me to, you know, go after my dreams. And so I think that's what I would definitely want people to know. Also, you know, that I'm an advocate for people, you know, taking care of their own health and putting themselves first, as well as, you know, definitely finding your purpose in life and, you know, just going after your dreams.
Incredible. You're such an inspiration. I'm so happy that you had some time to come on today and talk to us. So before we close out, where can people find your music and anything else that you want to announce, where they can find you on social media, your upcoming, you know, shows or anything you want to share?
Okay. Yeah. So you can get my music on all digital platforms from YouTube to iTunes. To Spotify, and you know, so you can see my videos on YouTube as well. My biggest platform as far as social media would be Instagram, and I definitely try to, you know, if you follow me, you'll see that I stay pretty up to date and make sure that I, you know, let people know what's going on with me, what's coming out, when I'm performing, interviews that I'm doing, as well as you know, my vlogs that I put up about my health journey as well. So if you follow me, you'll definitely get a little peek into my world.
Beautiful. I really appreciate it once again. Like I said, you're so magnificent, so inspirational, and it was just such a pleasure talking to you. And we'll definitely be in touch and touch base with you once again, and maybe have you on in a couple months to check in.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me and, you know, supporting my music and giving me the opportunity to share my story. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. Everybody check out Faith Walker. Talk to you soon, Faith.
Okay. Thanks so much. Peace and love.
Yes. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of A Billion Realities with your host, Jessica Gerlach. Visit us online at abillionrealities.com and follow us on social media at A Billion Realities. A Billion Realities is available on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Alexa, Reach.tv, or your favorite podcast service. A Billion Realities is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more great episodes and content, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and until next time, remember, we are all but one of a billion realities.